Hi, it's Shubhro sir from Calcutta. In the previous class, I discussed conditional probability. Today, my topics are multiplication theorem on probability, Bayes theorem, and independent events. So let's start. Are two events associated with a sample space S. E and F are two events associated with a sample space S which is connected to a random experiment R. Then it is obvious that E intersection F implies to the occurrence of both E and F. So E intersection F implies that occurrence of both E and F. In the other words, E intersection F denotes the simultaneous occurrence of the events E and F. By the way, we can also write E and F as E intersection F as EF. So it can be written as EF, only EF. It is not required to put the intersection sign always. So we know that the conditional probability of an event E given that F has occurred is denoted by probability of E condition that F. Probability of E condition that F. And defined by probability of E condition that F is equal to probability of E intersection F divided by probability of F, where P of F not equal to 0. From here we can write P of E intersection F is equal to P of F into P of E condition that F. This is equation 1. And obviously where P of F not equal to 0. So this is equation 1. Again, applying similar things, we can write P of E intersection F is equal to P of E into P of F condition that E. This is equation 2. Similarly, we can find this one. And from 1 and 2, we can say that these two are equal. These two are equal. That means P of F into P of E condition F is equal to P of E into P of F condition that E. Provided that P of E not equal to 0 and P of F not equal to 0. So it is important that P of E not equal to 0 and also P of F not equal to 0. It is important. And this result, we have proved this result that P of F into P of E condition F equal to P of E into P of F condition E, where P of E not equal to 0 and P of F not equal to 0. This result is known as multiplication theorem of probability. Let's look at an example of multiplication theorem. Suppose an urn contains 10 black balls, and 5 white balls. 2 balls are drawn from the urn, one after another, at random without replacement. So 2 balls are drawn from this urn. Now, what will be the probability that both the balls drawn are black? Both these 2 balls are black. So to find it, first of all, we have to take 2 events. First event is E, which says the event of drawing a black ball at first draw. I mean, first draw will be a black ball. Similarly, if is an event second draw. So on the second draw we will pick a black ball. Now it is clear that P of E is equal to, there are 10 black balls in the arm. So we have to choose one black ball from 10 black balls. So it will be 10 C1 divided by, we have to choose one ball from total 15 balls. That's why denominator will be 15 C1, which becomes 10 by 15 equal to 2 by 3. So probability of E equal to 2 by 3. Similarly, probability of F equal to, probability of F means after choosing one ball, probability of F is equal to, actually this is not important. Basically we have to find probability of E intersection F, because we have to finally find P of F condition that E. So after choosing a black ball, we have 9 black balls remaining, and in total we have 14 balls remaining. 9 black balls remaining after choosing one black ball from this arm, and the total balls remaining are 14. So P of F condition that E equal to, that F condition that E means the second ball drawn is a black ball, condition that the first ball drawn was a black ball. So it's F condition that E. So we have to choose a black ball from 9 black balls, so it will be 9 C1 divided by, we have to choose a ball from 14 balls, so it will be 14 C1. So simply it will be 9 by 14. Now by multiplication theorem we can say probability of E intersection F, we can write it also probability of EF. That means both the balls are black, E and F. So it will be probability of E into probability of F condition E equal to, previously we found that probability of E was 2 by 3. So it will be 2 by 3 into probability of F condition E means 9 by 14. So it will be 3 by 7. So it is the answer. Now the question is multiplication theorem of probability applicable for more than 2 events? Yeah, always. It's also applicable for more than 2 events, even infinite number of terms, such as for 3 events. Let E, F and G are 3 events of a sample space S connected to a random experiment R. Then we can say by multiplication theorem that probability of E intersection F intersection G, it will be probability of E into probability of F condition E and probability of G condition F intersection F. This is for 3 events. Similarly we can write it for 4 events, such as if it will be E intersection F intersection G intersection H. There are 4 events E, F, G, H. Then it will be by multiplication theorem P of E, P of F condition E, P of G condition F E, P of H condition G, F, E. So it is for 4 events E, F, G, H. Similarly we can find more. Similarly we can find for more events. Now we will do a sum for 3 events using multiplication theorem. Suppose 3 cards are drawn successively without replacement from a pack of 52 well shuffled cards. What's the probability that first two cards are king and the third card drawn is an ace? So first of all we have to know that there are 4 kings and 4 aces. So we have to take 3 events here because we are doing we are doing multiplication theorem on 3 events. That's why you have to choose 3 events. First event is K1, which says the event of choosing a king at first draw. I mean the first draw will be a king. K2, the event of choosing a king at second draw. A will be the event of choosing an ace at third draw. Now out of 52 cards we are choosing one king. That means there are 4 kings in all and we are choosing one king from that. So probability of K1 will be 4c1 by 52c1 because we are choosing one king out of 4 kings and we are choosing one card from 52 cards. That's why it will be 4c1 by 52c1. That means 4 by 52, which is equal to 1 by 13. Now we are with 51 cards left and 3 kings left. So the probability of K2 condition that K1. That means second card draw will be a king, condition that the first card drawn was a king. Its probability will be there are 3 kings left and we are choosing one king out of 3 kings. So it will be 3c1 divided by, we are 51 cards left with. So it will be 51c1, which is equal to 3 by 51 and it is equal to nothing. It will be 3 by 51. And finally we have chosen 2 kings, so we are with 50 cards remaining. Now we have to choose probability of ace, condition that K1 and K2. That we have already chosen 2 kings previously. Now we have to choose one ace. We can think that there are 4 aces in 50 cards because we have not chosen ace before. That's why there are 4 aces and we are choosing from 4 aces and ace. So it will be 4c1 divided by 50 cards left with, so it's 50c1 and it will be 4 by 50 and it becomes 2 by 25. Now we have to find probability of A intersection K1 intersection K2. So it will be by multiplication theorem, probability of K1, probability of K2 condition that K1 and probability of A condition that K1 K2, which is equal to, the probability of K1 was 1 by 30. So 1 by 30 into probability of K2 condition that K1 is 3 by 51 into this one is 2 by 25. So after eliminating all this we can write the answer as 2 by 5525. This will be the answer. Now my next topic is independent events. But before giving you a knowledge about independent events, I want to teach you what an equally likely event is. It's very important and it's important for conceptualize this one. So here listen it carefully. The events which have equal probability of occurring are known as equally likely events. The events which have equal probability of occurring is called equally likely events. Now we are tossing a coin. The probability of getting head is half and the probability of getting tail is also half. That's why the probability of head is equal to probability of tail. So we can say that head and tail for a coin toss are equally likely. That means probability of head for a coin toss is half and probability of tail is also half. So head and tail are equally likely. Similarly, for dice game, the probability of getting 1 will be 1 by 6, because for a dice game we can get 6 results in total. Out of 6 results we have to get only 1, which so the probability of P of 1 will be 1 by 6. Similarly, P of 2 will be 1 by 6, P of 3 will be 1 by 6, P of 4 1 by 6, P of 5 1 by 6, and P of 6 1 by 6. So the probability of getting all these 6 numbers will be 1 by 6. That means in a dice game, all 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6 are equally likely. Now my target is to proceed towards independent events. Let us consider the experiment of drawing a card from a deck of 52 cards in which each event is equally likely. As I told before, each event of a card game is also equally likely. Let E and F be two events such that E equal to the event that the card drawn is a heart. The card drawn is a heart. F is an event that the card drawn is an S. Is an S. Then the probability of E will be, first of all, we have to know that there are 13 hearts in total in a card game. So we are choosing one heart out of 13 hearts. So it will be 13C1 divided by 52C1, because there are total 52 cards in a card game. So it is 13 by 52, which is equal to 1 by 4. Now probability of F is equal to, there are 4 aces in a card game. So we are choosing one S out of 4 aces. So it will be 4C1 by 52C1. That means 4 by 52, which is equal to 1 by 13. Now my target is to find probability of E condition that F. Probability of E condition that F means we have to choose one heart, condition that we have already chosen an S. So it will be probability of E intersection F and divided by probability of F. So probability of E intersection F means we have to choose one S from a heart. That means there is only one S from heart, one S of hearts. That means 1C1 divided by 52C1 whole divided by P of F. We have already found that it's 1 by 4. So it is equal to 1C1 equal to 1 and divided by 52 means 1 by 52 and whole divided by 1 by 2, which becomes 1 by 13. That means 1 by 13 means P of F was 1 by 13. That means P of E condition that F is equal to actually nothing but P of F. That means it clearly shows that the occurrence of the event F has no effect on the occurrence of E. I'm telling you opposite one. Actually, the occurrence of E has no effect on F. Now also, probability of F condition E will be probability of E intersection F whole divided by probability of E, which is equal to 1 by 52 divided by 1 by 4, which becomes 1 by it's 1 by 13 is equal to 1 by 4. That means it is equal to probability of F. So the occurrence of E has no effect on the occurrence of F. Thus, the formula becomes probability of E condition that F is equal to probability of E, and probability of F condition E is equal to probability of F. That means the occurrence of F has no effect on E and the occurrence of E has no effect on F. So E and F are such events that the probability of any of them, the probability of occurrence of any of them does not affect the probability of occurrence of the other. Hence we can say that so we can say that E and F are totally independent events. Also note that E and F are two events of the sample space S connected to a random experiment R. Then the independent events, they will be independent events if P of F, E intersection F is equal to P of E into P of F. This is also a formula. Let's do a sum on independent events. Example: an unbiased die is thrown twice. An unbiased die is thrown twice. Let the event A is odd number on the first throw. An event that odd number on the first throw. And E is an event which says that odd number on the second throw. Now we have to check whether A and B are independent or not. Since it is an unbiased point, the number of ways of getting outcomes is 6 square. That means 36. We can find 36 results, 36 outcomes. Now A is equal to the event of getting an odd on the first throw. So the results can be 1, 2. First throw is 1, second throw is 1. First throw is 1, second throw is 2. Similarly, first throw is 1, second throw is 6. Now, first throw is odd, so it can't be 2. It will be 3, 1, 3, 3, 3, 2, 3, 6. Again, it will be 5, 1, 5, 2, and like this it will be 5, 6. So, we are with total 18 results. That means now n of A is 18. Cardinal number of the set A is 18. So the probability of A will be 18 by 36. Clearly, it says that probability of A is 18 by 36. That is 1 by 2. Now we have to find the probability of B. It is also 1 by 2 from the similar formula. Similar process we can find probability of B is also 1 by 2. Now the event A intersection B will be the odd number on both throws. That means 1 comma 1, first row is 1, second row is also 1. First row is 1, second row can't be 2 because it will be an odd number, so it's 3, 1 comma 5. 3 comma 1, 3, 3, 3, 5. And finally 5, 1, 5, 3 and 5, 1. So we are with totally 9 possibilities. That means number of A intersection, particular number of A intersection B is 9. So probability of A intersection B is 9 by 36, which is equal to 1 by 2. Now we can also see that probability of A into probability of B is equal to probability of A was half and probability of B was also half. So half into half, it is 1 by 2. So probability of A into probability of B is 1 by 2. Also probability of A intersection B is also 1 by 4. So we can say that probability of A intersection B is equal to probability of A into probability of B. So we can say that this shows that A and B are independent events. Before coming to the Bayes theorem, I would like to explain you the partition of a sample space and the theorem of total probability. Let E1, E2, E3 and En, E1, E2 up to En are n sample spaces of a n partitions of a sample space S, are n partitions of a sample space S, which is connected to a random experiment R. It is R, and if it satisfies the following conditions, then we can say that these are the partitions of this sample space S. So it will be, the first condition is EI intersection EJ is equal to 5 for I not equal to j and ij are 1 to n. That means E1 intersection E2 will be a 5. That means all EI and EJs are disjoint events. That means E1 and E2 are disjoint events, E2, E3 are disjoint events, E1, E3 disjoint, E1, E4 are disjoint. So all the events are disjoint. So this is first condition. Second condition is E1 union E2 union E3 union up to En is equal to S. All these events make the total sample space S, and probability of all the events will be greater than 0. Will be greater than 0. So it can be 1. It can be 1 also, and greater than 0, and obviously and less than 1, because probability is between 0 and 1. So, and for all I equal to 1 to n. So these are the conditions. In other words, the events E1, E2 up to En represent a partition of a sample space S if they are pairwise disjoint, exhaustive, and have non-zero probabilities. So pairwise disjoint, this one, exhaustive, this one. If all the events make the total sample space, then it is called exhaustive events. And have non-zero probabilities. That means probability of EI is greater than 0. Now we will discuss theorem of total probability. Let E1, E2 up to En be the partition of a sample space S, and suppose each of the event E1, E2 and En has non-zero probability of occurrence. E1, E2, En have non-zero probability of occurrence. Let A be another event associated with the sample space S, which is connected to a random experiment R. Then we can say that P of A is equal to P of E1, P of A condition E1 into P of plus P of E2 into P of A condition E2 plus P of En, P of A condition En, which implies that P of A is nothing but P of Ei summation of, we can write it by summation, I equal to 1 to n P of Ei, P of A condition that Ei. Now the proof of this theorem is not important for class 12. Only the result of this theorem is important. This result. So let's not discuss the proof and save time. We will look at the example using this theorem instead. Suppose a person has undertaken a construction job. The probabilities of are 0.65. That there will be a strike. That means if A is an event that says that the construction job will be completed, on time, B equal to the event that says that there will be a strike. Then obviously B complement will be an event that there will be no strike. There will be no strike. So the probability of A, we have to find the probability of A. Now it is given that probability of B is 0.65. So clearly probability of B complement will be 1 minus 0.65 which is equal to 0.35. Now therefore probability of A condition that B is equal to the construction job will be completed when if the strike happens. Then it is given that the probability of this is 0.32 and probability of A condition that B bar is 0.80. It is also given that the probability of the completion of this job if there will be no strike. So the probability of A will be by the before discussed theorem, the theorem of total probability. We can write probability of B into probability of A condition B plus probability of B bar into probability of A condition B bar. So this is the formula. Now we will put the values and we can get the answer. The values will be probability of A is equal to 0.65 into 0.32 plus 0.35 into 0.80. So we can calculate this and find the value 0.488. Now my target is to proceed towards Bayes' theorem, which states that if E1, E2, En are the n non-empty events which constitute a partition of a sample space S, then that means E1, E2 and En will be pairwise disjoint, exhaustive and have non-zero probabilities from the before mentioned theorems. let A be another event which is non-zero, which has non-zero probability. Then we can say probability of EI condition that F is equal to probability of EI into probability of A condition EI divided by summation of I equal to 1 to n, sorry, it's j equal to 1 to n, probability of EJ, probability of A condition EJ, where for any I equal to 1 to n. So this is called Bayes theorem. Also, the proof of this theorem is not required. We will do sums instead. Suppose a bag contains 3 red balls and 4 black balls. 3 red balls and 4 black balls. We have written red balls as R and black balls as B. So it was in bag 1. And in bag 2, there are 5 red balls and 6 black balls. In bag 2. Now we are doing one thing. One ball is drawn at random from one of the bags. We don't know from which bag. So, and it is found to be red. We have to find the probability that it was drawn from the bag 2. So first of all, we have to take 3 events. Event E1, which says that the ball drawn from bag 1, but the ball drawn was from bag 1. E2 is another event which says that the ball drawn was from bag 2, and A is an event that says the ball drawn is red. Now it is clear that probability of E1 is half and probability of E2 is also half. That means probability of choosing one bag out of 2 bags will be 1 by 2, and probability of choosing another bag is also 1 by 2. That means probability of E1 and E2 are 1 by 2. Are 1 by 2. Now, probability of A condition E1. Probability of choosing a red ball, condition that the bag was the first bag. Condition that we have chosen the red ball from the first bag. So it will be, in the first bag there are 3 red balls. We are choosing 1 red ball out of 3 red balls. So it will be 3C1 by total. In total there was 7 balls, so it's 7C1. So it will be 3 by 7. Now probability of A condition E2, the probability of choosing a red ball from second bag. There are 5 red balls in the second bag, so it's 5C1 by, in total there were 11 balls, so it will be 11C1. So it's 5 by 11. Now we have to find the probability of E2 condition that is. That means condition is given that we have chosen a red ball. We have to find the probability of getting, we have to find the probability that the red ball was chosen from the second bag. That means probability of E2 condition that is, which is equal to probability of E2 into probability of A condition E2 by probability of E1, probability of A condition E1 plus probability of E2 into probability of A condition E1. This is from Bayes theorem. We have found this from Bayes theorem. So we have to put all the values in this formula. So it will be probability of E2 condition that A is equal to probability of E2 was half into probability of A condition E2 was 5 by 11 divided by probability of E1 was also half and probability of A condition E1 was 3 by 7 plus also probability of E2 into probability of A condition E2. So it becomes, we have to calculate this and we will find 35 by 68. So this is the answer. So today my topic is over. Do practice sums at home, and this chapter contains many more interesting sums. So practice it at home. If you get stuck at anywhere, do email me at the email address mentioned in the description of my video, and please comment if you feel any difficulty, and if you recommend me about my video, and like, hit the bell icon and subscribe. Thanks for watching.